Hello and welcome to the Mystic in Training podcast with me, your host, Melissa Amos. I had the honor and the privilege of going to see Peter Crone, the mind architect, this weekend. To watch a man who is a master at his craft at work in creating transformation with other human beings is absolutely incredible. And what has always struck me about Peter and the way that he works is that we speak a very similar language. So to watch him do this live with the audience members was so good. And one of the things that he said, almost as a throwaway comment, actually, at some point in the middle, has stuck with me ever since. And today in the podcast, I would love to pull at that thread a little bit more. Peter's work is really all around breaking down the stories that we have been using as the lens in which we work. He explains that our mind is this construct of experiences that happens, and that the way that we see the world can often be linked back to a single trauma or a single incident that happened, which led us to believe that we are something or we are not something. So I am broken or I am not good enough, as an example. And that we go around through our daily lives for decades with this viewpoint, how I see it as these lenses, these glasses you wear that are essentially proving this point to you over and over and over again. And as I've been saying, actually, with the hidden agreements, it informs our decisions, it informs the way that we show up, it informs what we allow to happen. It literally informs the reality in which we find ourselves in. And his work is to really separate the story, which he explains as only words, into the truth of who we are. But one thing he said was that what if the purpose of our life was to break free from limitation? What if that is our soul's purpose? That we have this wound, we have this lens, and literally our life is, oh my God, I am not the story that I told myself. I am this incredible being that sits underneath. Obviously, I was like, yes, this is so true. And I found myself nodding along with all the other members of the audience. And it got me questioning something further, that what if the soul doesn't actually see limitation in the same way that we do? And what if the first purpose in life, or the original purpose, or the first half of our life maybe, starts to work towards this breaking free from limitation, but the actual purpose of life is, what do I do with this now I've broken free? We often see our wounds as problems. We see them as something that we need to heal. And, I could see in the room and in so many personal development spaces that I've been in, that we're there with this insatiable need to fix something, that we're in this like, well, this is the thing that's going wrong with me, heal me. And, I'm not saying that. And that is not Peter's work in a nutshell. He works so elegantly. But when I look at this from a soul's point of view, everything that I've learned through the Akashic Records is your wound isn't a mistake. And like Peter was implying, if our purpose of our life, in his words, is to break free from limitation, that the wound is the breaking free. The wound is the thing that is the invitation or the growth or the catalyst into, oh, there's more to life than this. And now I need to break free from it. That actually part of our journey was to collect this lens, to pick up that particular pair of glasses so that one day I can take them off, because I needed to see the world for this long with that lens so that I could understand what I am not. And that's what I think the wound is there for, a consistent reminder of all of the things that you are not. That's why it feels so crappy. That's why when you're living with these glasses, things feel a little bit blurry, because they don't contain the clarity of the truth of who you are. Through the work that I do, I've understood this, that the wounds aren't a problem to solve. They're an invitation into becoming more. this hidden agreement that you had collected was serving a purpose to build you into something. And where I want to take this further is it's not just about healing it, because that suggests a fixing of a problem. That suggests to me that there's something wrong. Where I want to take it further is the whole purpose of this is to take the lens off and go, whoa, now what? Now, what do we do? Now, who am I? Now that I have broken free, what becomes possible for me? Now that I have broken free, what frequencies are now available to me? What am I stepping into? Who am I becoming? And that is the interest of the soul. Because the soul does not see your wound as something that is wrong. The soul doesn't see anything as broken. The soul just sees opportunity, and the soul just sees growth, and the soul is praying for you and gunning for you to move through it, not just so that you can become a master healer, not just so that you can find the precise wound that you can now understand and now can explain. It's so that you can take that and follow the golden thread into something that you've become. Like the kid that was bullied at school becomes the advocate for self-discovery. Like the overlooked child who now sees people so deeply because they know what it feels like. Like the person who had to be the highest achiever in order to be noticed, seen, accepted, becomes exceptional at the work that they do. But whilst they are in the wound, it's coming from this space of not enoughness. It's coming from this proving energy. It's coming from this, I have to, otherwise I won't. And there's this incoherence there. There's this like desperation. It's like you're moving from the glasses rather than from the projector that's moving through it. And so there's less power, there's more doubt. It's more about what the outside world is feeding back to me rather than what the inside world is pushing out. And I think that's the difference. I think once you take the lens off, there is not that break, there's not that gap, there's not that barrier between what it is that I'm here to express and what the world needs from me, because it's just a two-way street, no roadblock. And once we take those glasses off, once we change the patternings, once we realize that what we had, the overachiever, the overlooked child, the no one sees me, that I'm not enough, the I am broken, that I am whatever it is that your story has been, that is an intelligence in itself, but the intelligence isn't finished. The intelligence is waiting to, guess what word I'm going to use? Evolve, because isn't evolution the purpose? This is what I've always said, that the purpose of life is three things. The overarching purpose is evolution, growth. We can look to nature, that if we're not growing, we're dying. And I think this is true for us as well. And then as we move into that, number one is know thyself. Purpose number one, know who I am. Know who I am. Know who I am underneath the lens. Know who I am and what stories I create myself. And as Peter kept saying over and over again, know who I am beneath the story. And part of that comes from understanding that I'm living in a story in the first place. So this is the whole first part. This is everything that we're working towards. But then once we've come to that and we've come to that realization of I am this soul in this human body, I have these unique talents and strengths and challenges and experiences that I've had. And now how do I work with that to make positive impact in the world? How do I work with that in community? How does this become something that now helps another, even if it's just one? And then as we do this, well, then we are lifting humanity, because of course we are. As we light one candle and another, if we were looking at ourselves from some spaceship up there, you would see the whole world starts to light up as we light up. Who do we become once the story that we have probably been holding on to for decades finishes? This is where it gets interesting, because now we have a whole new model to work with. Now we have freed up so much energy from wearing this lens and wearing these glasses and letting the world prove to ourselves that something is or isn't true. But how many of us, when we've had this realization, then comes into like, well, if my wound was my story and my wound is my medicine, what happens to the medicine once the wound is healed? What happens to my medicine once the wound is healed? Who am I now? What am I doing with all of this? Imagine whatever it is, the story that you've told yourself, I'm not good enough, that has been tainting everything that you've ever done throughout all aspects of your life. I am not good enough. Like, how would you behave if you believed I was not good enough? Well, you might become a people pleaser. You might want to research more and more and more before you put anything out there. You might reject compliments or information or help, or not ask for help in the first place. You might not put your hand up when there's something that you can do. There might be somebody over there that desperately needs you, but you won't step forward. You might hold back in what you have to say about something. You might find yourself standing a bit invisible. You might soften your message. You might wear the clothes that don't make you stand out or feel that good, or not even buy them in the first place, because why would I waste money on me? You might not start the podcast. You might not start writing the book. You might not start or finish or up level your business. You might not go for the relationship. You might not swipe left or right or whatever it is that you do for the guy, because you think, well, I'll never be good enough for that. You might not say yes, or you might not say no because you're scared of what's going to happen. But all of that is also developing some excellent qualities underneath, but we don't see them yet. We don't have so much access to them yet, not in their full power. But as soon as those glasses come off, as soon as there has been a recalibration of that, this kind of like, oh, I'm good enough just because I'm a human. No baby was born with the I'm not good enough wound. So who am I under that? And now when I'm in the same situations, now I will say the thing because I know that I'm valid. Now I will go and treat myself to the close and then feel good, which then might get me noticed by somebody else that wouldn't have done before, because we literally weren't in the same frequency. Now I might start my podcast, and the person that needs to hear it, who then becomes the next client, which then tips me into the next tax bracket, which then helps fund something, right? Who knows? Who knows what becomes available for us? But it only happens when we go, okay, the lens has gone off. And now what? Now what wants to come through me? Because the soul's expression is expression. The soul is not here to heal. The soul is not here even to resolve karma. The soul is not here to punish you or to even to guide you. Oh my God, I said it. It is here for expression. But the lens in which you express it comes through you. And we are either going around with the lens of I am not good enough, or I am broken, or whatever story you have, or we're coming around with the lens of like, I am exceptional. I am unique. I am here for a reason. And I am here to make a difference in my life, in their lives, in all lives. Why? By becoming fully myself. How? By breaking free from the story and then standing in my power, standing in my strength, going, you know what? I've got something that I want to say here. You know what? I've got something that I want to create here. You know what? I want to live in this way now. You know what? Life wants to live through me. And then I take everything that I've learned. And now I still have that. I've still built them. You're not trying to get rid of it. When we were at Peter Crone, there was one guy at the end, and his story had everybody in rapture. We were gripped. And this is not a story that you would wish upon anybody. But the way we could see the thread run through it of, wow, you have lived a life. And now as you drop the story of his was, I am broken, and you saw him realize, oh, wow, I'm not broken. Well, now he can take all of that and no longer hold it in shame, no longer hold it in judgment, no longer hold it in anger or fear, but he can stand there and go, this is who I was and look what I've become. And if I can do it, If I can do it, so can you. Had he not have had the experience he did when he was 6, and not had the consequence of the life that then happened, and not made the choices that he then made, and not hurt the people that he hurt, and not found himself in these cycles, he wouldn't be able to then do the thing that now he's meant to do. But his purpose didn't end that day on the stage when he broke free from that limitation. His purpose starts now. What do I do with it? Who am I becoming now? How do I share this message? How do I take all of this compression that happened to me up until this point and now unleash it into the world and stand in this power of, I know who I am and I know how I serve. That's your purpose. I know who I am and I know how I serve. It never ends. Not to heal from your wounds, not to break free from your limitation. Your purpose is limitlessness. Your purpose is full expression. And that full expression is yours. That full expression is who you've become. That full expression is your soul through your human and everything that you have been and done. We need to stop fighting this. We need to stop looking at everything as a problem. And we need to understand that everything that is going on is an invitation into more of us. That's what it is. So yes, spend time, break free, look at your stories, work it out, work with somebody like me or like Peter and go, hey, yes, I've lived in this full sense of self for so long. And now who am I underneath? And then as we break free, as we work with the stories, as we work with the nervous system, as we work with the psychology, and as you work through the Akashic records, because here we are recoding from the very place that these stories exist and work all the way through it. And then the golden thread becomes thicker and brighter and clearer, and we can keep pulling at it. That's what we do. So today you can ask yourself, if I break free from this story, what would I do? If I broke free from this story I've been telling myself, I am something or I am not something that you've been living with forever. Who am I on the other side of it? That's where the magic happens. I'll see you next time.